I hereby call the Brockton School Committee. Tonight, it's an organizational as well as a regular school committee meeting. We're at the George M. Romm Little Theater, Brockton High School, 474 West Ave, Brockton, Mass. 02301. It's 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'd like to read into the record the following. Dear visitors, welcome to a meeting of the Brockton School Committee. This is the agenda that will be discussed this evening. Please note the hearing of visitors is included. If you have a statement or question, please give your name to the secretary. Mrs. Campbell has indicated no one has signed in. In addition to attending tonight, the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also on the 1071 HD version and online via the following link, www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. At this time, I would ask us to please stand, salute the American flag, and continue standing, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the community, a lot of us were celebrating the holidays, but unfortunately, we had 2 loss of lives from our firefighting department. Local 144 firefighter Jeff Albanese succumbed, and Captain Steve Montero's funeral and burial was yesterday. I went to high school here with Steve, and he was a wonderful, wonderful person. So our thoughts and prayers as a community, as a committee, with the Albanese, with the Montero family, and with the firefighters as a whole. If we could just take a moment of silence, please. Thoughts and prayers. May they rest in peace. Thank you, everybody. This time, I do have to establish a quorum. We have all members here tonight. We have no members via Zoom. So, again, I will just establish a quorum. Mrs. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Gomes?
Here.
Mr. Vega?
Here.
Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Vice Chair Rodriguez? Here. Ms. Azak?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
I'm here as well. We have established a quorum. Of course, Doctor, it's 2025, right? Dr. Tahiliani, superintendent, is here, but she also serves as clerk of this committee. Again, Agenda 1 has been met. Agenda 2, hearing of visitors. Again, we have nobody that has signed in this evening. We will now go on to Agenda 3, which is the establishing of officers, which then ties into 4, which would be the confirmation by the school committee of the officers, which are the chair vis-a-vis the mayor, and then again, the secretary, which is Dr. Tahiliani. We need to establish that as a committee.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dr. Tahiliani as the secretary of the school committee, as superintendent/secretary
For 2025.
for 2025.
Okay, the motion has been made. It's been properly seconded. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. We also have to confirm the mayor being chair for 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion to appoint the mayor as chair of the school committee for the year 2025.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, that passes as well. Thank you very much. I was neglect to say I did speak to Attorney Spotterfoot. She's just running 5 minutes late, so Sarah will be here real soon. The last thing I want to say, first of all, on a positive note, I want to wish all of you a happy 2025. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday with your family and friends. I also want to stress again, and I know both myself and Mr. Rodriguez last year when we got sworn in, we preached collaboration, working together. As I mentioned today on a Zoom, and both Priya and Tony were on it, my mantra for 25 is also kindness, civility, and working together in a positive, beneficial manner. So as chair, I'm just going to try to express that as much as I can to everybody on a regular basis when we meet. Again, we all know that we're elected for the students and staff of BPS. So again, I look forward to a happy and healthy year in 2025 working with all of you. At this time, Agenda 5, we have the election of vice chair. And as you recall, every year we have to do this. We have to accept nominations from the committee. If we have more than one person, we will take a vote, and it has to be a majority vote to prevail. So at this time, as chair, I will open up the election of vice chair.
Can I just say something, Mayor?
Sure can.
On the chair and the secretary, I don't think we ever really vote for them. I think they take that place because of their titles. As mayor is the chair because it's in the charter, and it's also in Robert's rules that the mayor is the chair, and the superintendent is always the secretary. So I don't think we have to vote on it.
Well, just under the charter, under the City of Brockton's charter, it spells out that the first meeting of the school committee is an organizational meeting. So it's really belts and suspenders to do it,
Okay.
because vis-à-vis the chair, whoever the mayor is has to serve as chair by
Right.
charter. And the superintendent has to serve as the secretary/clerk.
Right.
But we have always, as long as I've been on it, and my anniversary was yesterday, 5 years as mayor, it's always been that.
Congratulations.
It's a blessing and a curse, according to some, huh? I wasn't great like that 5 years ago, Judy. But at this time, again, is there any comments? So I will open up nominations from the committee members relative to an election of a vice chair for the year 2025. Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, I would like to nominate our newest member, school committee member from Ward 1, Jorge Vega, as vice chair for 2025.
Okay, so the minutes have to reflect, Mr. Sullivan made a motion, it was properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan, and now we have Jorge Vega nominated. Is there any other members that would like to nominate at this time? Mr. Gomes, please.
I'd like to nominate Tony Rodriguez for vice chair for FY25.
I will second that.
For the minutes to reflect again, Mr. Gomes made a motion, it was properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Tony Rodriguez has been nominated for vice chair as well. Are there any other nominations at this time for any members? Second time, any nominations? Third and final time, any nominations? As chair, I close nominations. We now have to do a vote, and many of us recall last year's vote, but we will take a vote. I will call the roll as the chair, and the majority will win. Again, Jorge Vega and Tony Rodriguez are the only two nominated individuals at this time. Mrs. Sullivan,
Could I just make a comment first?
on the vote, yes.
On the motion?
Yep.
On the vote? It should be a different person every year, like the city council is. So Tony already served, so I think we should give another person a chance to serve. And anybody that wants to be the vice chair should get a chance to be the vice chair. So it's only fair. And I thank you, Tony, for your year that you did it. But I think we should give another person a turn, okay? Everybody, it doesn't mean that they have any more power than anybody else. And everyone has the same voting power, and everybody's equal in their membership here. They're accountable to their constituents, and the vice chair really only was put in to help the mayor, because the mayor is the mayor of the city. So the vice chair was put in to help the mayor and to take the place of the mayor when the mayor's not here. So it's actually, that's what it says in the charter anyway, so we have to follow that. So
Thank you,
just
Mrs.
wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Any other membership on the motion? Seeing that, I'm going to call the roll at this time. Again, the two candidates, Jorge Vega, Tony Rodriguez. Mrs. Sullivan, your vote?
Mr. Vega.
Mr. Gomes?
Tony Rodriguez.
Mr. Vega?
Mr. Vega.
Ms. Oliver?
Mr. Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Tony Rodriguez.
It's weird to vote for yourself, isn't it? Ms. Azak, please.
Tony Rodriguez.
Mr. Sullivan, please.
Jorge Vega.
And I also vote for Jorge Vega at this time. So much like we dealt with this last year, it's a 4-4. So nobody prevails on the first round. What I need to state again, much like we learned last year when it was with Kathy and Tony, the way it spells it out, there is a vice chairman. In this case, it's Mr. Rodriguez until a successor vice chairman is elected by the body. So that failed. So at this, did you have something to say, Mr. Vega?
I have no intention of dragging this out. I'd like to congratulate our vice chair, Mr. Rodriguez.
We have to take another vote.
So lawfully, I mean, the committee should take another vote.
Yep.
So at this time, again, and thank you for doing that, the nominations failed. So at this time, I open it up for second round nominations, please. Is there a nomination, please? Mr. Gomes, please.
I'd like to nominate Tony Rodriguez for vice chair.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Minutes must reflect Mr. Gomes made the motion, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Tony Rodriguez, again, his name has been nominated and put in contention for vice chair of 2025. Is there any other nominations? Mr. Sullivan?
I'd like to nominate Jorge Vega.
Second?
Do you accept that? You can decline it.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support that's been demonstrated tonight. I will decline.
Okay. Are there any other nominations at this time? Second time? Any nominations, third and final time? Seeing none, I will close nominations. The only individual on the school committee that has been nominated for vice chair for the year 2025 is actually the current vice chair, Mr. Tony Rodriguez from Ward 4. I will call the roll at this time. Mrs. Sullivan? I'm sorry, Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Abstain. Can I do that? Or,
Is Sarah here yet?
Should be able to.
or is it yay or nay, or is it?
Well, Sarah's not here yet, but you're supposed to abstain either if you weren't at the previous meeting or if you have a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Oh, Sarah's here. Sarah, welcome. Take your jacket off. We just have a question for you. Sure. So, Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New Year.
So we are on Agenda 5, election of vice chair. We did round 1, it was 2 individuals, Mr. Vega, Mr. Rodriguez. It failed, 4-4. We now are in round 2. The only individual nominated, Mr. Tony Rodriguez. I'm calling the roll right now. 1 no, 1 yes, and when I got to Mr. Vega, he asked to abstain, and I was always under the impression you can abstain if you have a conflict or if you weren't at the prior meeting. Is that accurate?
Correct. An abstention isn't going to count as a yes or no, but is typically for that purpose. If you don't feel like you have enough information to vote on something, or you missed, like if we were voting on minutes and you weren't at the prior meeting and didn't want to vote on them, or a conflict of interest. That said, I don't think there's a prohibition on abstaining if that's a choice of the member.
Okay, I'll go
Just
back.
to keep it clean, I would say no.
Ms. Oliver, please.
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Rodriguez, please.
Yes, Tony Rodriguez.
Ms. Azak, please.
Yes to Tony Rodriguez.
Mr. Sullivan?
No.
And I'm a no at this time, but explain that to me, please. We had one candidate, I'm sorry, legal counsel. We had one candidate nominated. There were 4 yeses and 4 nos. What's the next process?
So the motion fails. At this time, you haven't elected a new vice chair, but the policy states that the vice chair who was previously elected remains in that role. There is a little bit of tension between the city charter and the policy. The city charter says that the committee is required to elect a vice chair at the first meeting. The policy says the vice chair is in their role for a year, and Mr. Rodriguez didn't take his role until March. The charter does trump the policy. That said, the outcome is the same, right? That Mr. Rodriguez remains the vice chair until a new one is elected. You can take a couple different courses here. You could talk about what would change people's minds about a yes versus a no vote. You could put this off to the next agenda and, similar to what we did last year, continue to have votes on this topic until the matter is resolved. Those would be the 2 options that I foresee here, because I don't think we can put the matter to bed necessarily, because the charter does require the election of a vice chair, and that hasn't happened.
Just point of information for all of us. If Kathy Ayers was vice chair, she resigned, Tony Rodriguez became vice chair in February or March? March. So if the charter says vote had to happen, vote happened tonight,
True.
what is the argument, I guess? Is there a mechanism where he would stay into effect until March, and this should be on an agenda in March? Like,
We
what-
could look at
I'm
that.
just
I'd have to
asking
look
you.
at
I
the
don't-
charter a little more closely about that. I know it does say the body has to reorganize at the first meeting in, technically says the Monday of January, but we do it on.
The
on
reorg
Wednesday.
happened before you came in terms
Right.
of both
The other
Priya and I,
positions.
yeah.
Yep. So I think I'd have to think about that a little bit, about whether we could put this off until the year mark actually hits. The outcome's the same, right? That we you know who the vice chair is. I think for tonight's purposes, you could either choose to run the vote another time, offer if there's anyone who wants to have any discussion on the topic, or if it feels like there's not going to be any movement on the votes, then you can move on to the rest of the agenda. And I can look at the issue in between about whether we push it to March or the next meeting.
So 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks from today, we have another regular scheduled
Yes.
meeting. And you could give us an answer well before that.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
guess I'd just go back to the, Mr. Vice Chair.
Just another point of information, if we do not organize this evening up into including subcommittees, all of our subcommittees, they're a committee of the whole. So those members that are very boisterous about 4 members and 3 members being on a subcommittee and breaking it down to 3 or 4 members, just know that this vote does affect that. So make your decisions wisely.
What is the, Ms. Azak, please?
Thank you. I would just ask that the committee would really sit and think about this. I don't want to go through what we went through last year or what we went through 2 years ago. I kind of find it amusing because there's conflicting information. Mr. Rodriguez stepped in. Tony and I may not agree on everything, but I've never reached out to Mr. Rodriguez and asked him for an update. He didn't provide me an update. He always provided me with an update. He'll reach out. We go over policies, we go over procedures. Yes, everybody can be a vice chair, but it's a very, very involved position. It's very demanding. The mayor and the vice chair can agree that they have been meeting many meetings from 2023 until now. Actually, 24. We've had a lot of meetings, and I just think it's very important that we keep the mayor and the vice chair, rather than bring in new faces and have to get everybody up to speed as to what's been going on. Yes, we all want to work together, absolutely, but I just don't want to go through what we've gone through for the past 2 years. You need experience to be in this position. I disagree with some members. You need to know our policies, you need to know our procedures, you need to be familiar with our subcommittees, even down to the basic, which is I never remembered having an organizational/regular meeting. We usually just have a regular organizational meeting. There's basic stuff that goes into preparing the agenda, and just having that basic knowledge over the years. I'm not saying no one, you have to have a little bit of the background to just jump right in. Given where we are right now, I need someone that's got the background and familiar with what's been going on to know that I have my best interest being looked out for. Like I said, we don't always agree on things, and there's many times he's hung up the phone on me and I've hung up on him. But in all honesty, I know that I can always ask him and he will advocate for my best interest and our committee's best interest. We are a committee of a whole. Our vice chair is our face. They're our voice. They're there to represent us because we all can't be there to represent, the committee. And that's why putting a vice chair that can speak for the committee. And, I get it. Some people feel like their voice isn't being heard. Reach out to him. I know he's reached out. Reach out to him, talk to him, advocate for something if you want to advocate for it. But I just don't want to go through what we went through for 2 years. For 2 years, we got to change it. And then last year it was the same person. So I'm hearing mixed info. I don't want to do it. And sometimes they reference other bodies within our community that don't do this. Well, they do it behind closed doors. Unfortunately, we're doing this on camera. We don't caucus. We don't do this behind closed doors. But not everybody always agrees on who is appointed for city council. Not everyone's going to agree who's appointed for school committee. But we have to do ours on camera. We don't do it. And we should probably look into a policy to do something, caucus, so we have a more productive organizational meeting, because we have our subcommittees. We have a very, very busy year, and I don't want to keep going week after week waiting to appoint a vice chair. We have to get our subcommittees going. We have to get our negotiations going. We have quite a few negotiations going on this year. To lose track of this I'm just asking that if we can just work together and just move forward. And if someone doesn't agree with something, reach out to him. I've reached out to him. That's all I ask, is we can't lose focus of where we need to be. And I just don't want to take up any more time, but it's just, We have a lot of work to do, guys. We have a lot of work. And it's only January 7th, and we just can't lose track of it. That's all.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Azak. So one suggestion that was just made by, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just wanted to say that nowhere does it say that the vice chair speaks for us. Nowhere does it say that. Every person here has a difference of opinion on what is out there, on the topics and how things should go. Nowhere does it say that the vice chair speaks for the committee. So I do not want the public to take that and think that that's a true thing, because it isn't. Each person has their own opinion, and each person's opinion should be respected. But no one speaks for anyone else. Thank you.
Any other comments at this time? Mr. Vega, please.
Just for clarity, my intention in accepting the nomination is very much what Ms. Asak was talking about. Developing some unity among the committee. This has been a challenging year, and it's not any one person's, fault or responsibility. I think during the course of the year, I've demonstrated myself to be somebody who is going to listen first and try and think about the perspectives of others. Now, having said that, I don't see. I agree with Ms. Asak. I don't see any reason to drag things out or cause any speed bumps along the way. I would suggest another vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? I'm going to call the vote as chair, but before I have to accept the nomination. Is there a nomination at this time among the membership of vice chair for 2025, please? Mr. Gomes, please.
I'd like to nominate Tony Rodriguez for vice chair.
Second.
Just for the minutes again, Mr. Gomes, this is round three. Mr. Gomes made the motion, was properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Members, are there any other members this evening that want to nominate it? Mr. Sullivan, please.
I'd like to nominate Jorge Vega.
Mr. Sullivan made a motion. It was properly seconded for Jorge Vega. Do you choose to accept it or deny it?
Again, I just want to say I appreciate the support and the confidence from committee members. I'm going to decline.
Okay. So there is. Are there any other members at this time that would like to nominate a vice chair potential candidate for the year 2025? Second time, any nominations? Third and final time, seeing none. Nominations are closed. Round three, Mr. Tony Rodriguez, the current vice chair, is the only individual on the school committee nominated to serve in that capacity for 2025. I will call the roll at this time. Again, much like the second round, if you support that, you say yes. If you do not support that, you say no. Mr. Sullivan?
No.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
No.
I'll go yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 2. It does prevail, and Mr. Tony Rodriguez, who was vice chair last year, 2024, becomes vice chair 2025.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Now, I just want to, thank, sometimes personal feelings get in some of our work that we have to do, including myself, but sometimes when members talk about collaboration, this is where the collaboration starts. When we talk about following policy, is understanding that policy and understanding it. Tony Rodriguez didn't write the policy. That policy existed before I got on this committee and long before some of us. And some individuals need to, collectively, all of us, look at when we talk about ethics. It's in writing. If you don't understand it, we do have legal counsel, and you can work with myself and the mayor, and we can get you that support so you can understand it, because we are in the business of educating students, so I think we are in the business of educating ourselves as well. But again, we have a lot of work. We have a kind of a lengthy agenda to move forward, and thank you for supporting this. And we have a new superintendent, and we're going to be taking that up, and we just have to move the district forward and stop this finger pointing and look at this body and stop comparing us to other bodies in this city, because nothing's all gravy on that side of the aisle as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Ms. Azak, please.
I'll make it quick. I just want to thank Mr. Vega and Mayor. Thank you. Let's move forward. In this is, thank you. I know it wasn't easy sometimes to make decisions and change a vote, but it's a new year. A lot of work ahead of us. We have so much to do. And hopefully 2025, we will all work together. And like I said, for those that feel like their voice isn't being heard, reach out to the vice chair because they are there for us to look for guidance. Same with other committee members, if you need questions and stuff like that. But I just want to say thank you. Looking forward to be able to move forward now and not have to drag this on till March because we know the vote wouldn't have changed in March. So thank you.
Thanks,
and
Ms.
let's
Azak. Thank
go to
you.
the next item.
Hey, any other comments on that? Then we will move on. Next agenda, which is Agenda 6, it's explanation of subcommittee assignments and duties. I'm going to go over right now to the vice chairman.
Voice is a little raspy from surgery. This page right here. Get my tabs right.
Number 3. Number 3.
3, yeah.
Subcommittees. So I did email all the members, all of the subcommittee assignments. Thank you to the members that did respond to these, and I did forward this to the mayor for his approval as fair as possible. The only one amendment that I wanted to actually do was my error on the transportation for negotiating committee. It should be Jorge Vega as the chair of that subcommittee, not myself. If we could just change that to Mr. Vega as the chair for the transportation
It's the form of,
subcommittee.
it's the form of a motion.
Form of a motion.
Motion was made, I'm sorry, who made the second? You
Second.
did. Motion was made by Vice Chairman Rodriguez, properly seconded by Mr. Gomes for that Scrivener's error, that change. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hands. Mr. Rodriguez will be supplemented with Mr. Vega relative to that. Thank you.
So as we can see, the committee of the whole is actually chaired by the vice chair. We did change transportation subcommittee and also facilities to committee of the whole, which the vice chair would change. And we also changed our policy where the vice chair can delegate one of those subcommittees to any of the members, where I feel that some of the members should have that responsibility as well. So everything doesn't just fall on the vice chair. So it's equal shared responsibility. So any of the members that have interest in chairing any of those subcommittees, if you can reach out to me personally, and I could let the mayor know as well. Also, on the representatives, we do have to nominate 2 representatives to community schools. So that's the chair's duty on that, to take that, to make those votes. But on the BEF, after speaking to the legal counsel, I think we're going to need to do a deeper dive into the BEF and how that structure is. But I did put 2 members on the BEF. I believe that representative, we should have 2 members of this body on that moving forward. So with that being said, if any members have any concerns with the subcommittee assignments, I could let the body know. Mrs.
Mrs. Sullivan, followed by Ms. Azak, please. Mrs.
So
Sullivan, please.
the BEF has 2 members, it's always had 1.
Yes, I just said that after speaking to council, I think we need to look at the structure of the BEF. There was some issues there in how that structure is, but I believe that should have at least 2 members.
But we can't decide that. That's either written in the bylaws or the policies or,
We can ask the
legal
counsel.
counsel's here, so when I question that, I guess the body has that authority to actually put 2 members on there.
Sarah, do
That's
you
why
mind?
They're non-voting members of the BEF, so I think the theory was that there would be 2 representatives, but they wouldn't be voting members. Fairness, I didn't have a chance to look at the BEF bylaws on that, but certainly this body could nominate both people as part of the process tonight, and if there is an issue with that, when I read the bylaws, I can let you know, and we can take that up at the next meeting to make an amendment.
Yeah, because I think it would be explained in the bylaws.
Sure. It could be. I mean, it also may not be addressed because it's a non-voting role, so
So the school committee is not a voting member on that?
that's my understanding, is the school committee is not a
Because I
voting
don't think we've
member.
ever seen the bylaws either.
Yeah, the school committee is not a voting member on the BEF.
It's a separate entity.
It's a separate entity, so
So
that's
you're
why I
their
said
advisory.
at least 2 members would be sufficient for this board.
So who's in charge of the BEF?
It's a question I'm looking into.
Because I don't think we ever really had a lot of background on that, on the BEF. And,
No, I totally agree, and that's why my recommendation is to have 2 members on there, because we have to take a deeper
I know,
dive into the
I
Brockton
agree with you,
education.
Mr. Rodriguez, but what I'm saying is that it was never before. And so, nothing against you.
Yep.
I just want everything to be done properly and per policy and per bylaws. Because we weren't doing the community school thing right before until I had Dr. DeBarros look into the bylaws and send them to me. So that's all I'm asking, is that we have everything done fair to every member.
What we could do on that, because community schools is to be determined as well, and that will be 2 weeks from tonight where those 2 individuals will be
No,
voting.
we do that on the organizational meeting, so
TBD?
members have to
Put their
nominate
name in nominations.
2 members to the community schools.
So I guess from a legalese standpoint, we could ratify if those 2 people mentioned, Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Azak, and then legal counsel 2 weeks from time, you could just give us, make sure, I mean, non-voting is non-voting, so, okay, thank you. Anything else, Judy?
So on the,
I just wanted to say that on the subcommittees, there's still a lot of favoritism to certain people. Some people are the chairs of certain ones more than other people, and some people are on more subcommittees than other people. It all has to be done really fairly, that everybody's represented equally, okay? So, and also the subcommittees are not made up until the vice chair is appointed. The vice chair makes up well, it's actually the mayor, but the mayor gives it to the vice chair to do. So, these were made up before the vote. And so the public knows they're not supposed to be made up until the vote.
that's just past practice, everything is done with the mayor. When this is done, it's sent to the mayor. I mean, the email was sent to every
I know,
member
but
here.
it's never been done that way, is what I'm saying. So, to have a healthy discussion,
Too many people are talking, please. Mrs. Sullivan, followed by the vice chair.
that's all I wanted to
Okay,
say.
Mr.
is-
Vice Chair, any follow-up?
This was done, everybody was sent an email, members responded, some members didn't respond. It was done equally, nobody was being favoritism, everybody is balanced off here. So if there's something that you don't agree with it, this is the time to say where you don't agree with it, and we can move forward with this. So I don't understand where you're seeing favoritism on this.
Well, I'm not going to go into that here. I
No,
will
I
speak to
mean,
you
you made
privately
an
on it.
accusation
I'll
that
speak
there's
to you
favoritism
privately
being
on it.
done, but everybody is equally balanced here, so I'm not
They're
sure
not,
like
though.
how.
And I can point
so-
it out to you, so,
Go right
I'd be
ahead,
happy
I'm
to.
asking you.
but I don't think this is the place to do it,
This is the organizational meeting.
okay? I'll speak to you in private on it.
Ms. Azak, and then you, Mr. Gomes. Ms. Azak, please.
Okay.
If it's a
2 things. One, the BEF account, the BEF subcommittee. So I just to piggyback off of Mrs. Sullivan, there's so much that some of the members, there's so much that we were doing that until you start looking into things, and actually 2023 was an eye-opener. So when we started looking into things, yes, a lot of things that we were doing, we didn't have proper direction. Should I be saying that on camera? Absolutely, I'm transparent, and we started looking into things. So I didn't know the BEF members, school committee members were non-voting members till recently. We do have a meeting on the 17th that's been in the calendar for a while. So if we could at least vote on that. They are non-voting members, so I don't see what the issue would be on that, and same with community schools. Those two, community schools, we always vote into on the organizational meeting. Now, for years, the whole purpose of the organizational meeting is to go over our subcommittees. We're organizing today. Go over our subcommittees, agree with everything. So the vice chair at the time did send out the subcommittees, and he did work with the chair to ask us what we wanted. I know I responded, not everyone responded. We can't drag this on. Come on, guys. We've had time to look these over. If there's something, this is it. We do it during an open meeting. If there's an issue, please bring it up so we can discuss it as adults and move forward. But if there is one thing, is those that don't realize, the BEA negotiations, that's a lot of negotiations, and that lasts a year? Almost, quite a few months. So those are a lot of meetings. So if some members are not on as many subcommittees, is maybe because they're on that one? But if you can, Mrs. Sullivan, if you can point out something that's, maybe we can just make an easy movement around, and that way we can get these approved and get these committees scheduled for their meetings so we can move forward. But,
I didn't say we couldn't move forward, I just said.
well, we have to approve them. We can't approve them unless,
Put a motion out, yeah.
okay. Oh, I thought there was something that you didn't want. That's the only thing. So if we
All
can
I'm
just,
doing is making a statement.
oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. So Mr. Gomes, followed by Mr. Vega, followed by the vice chair, please.
I just want to clarify so we don't keep going back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah,
If I'm on a subcommittee and I don't want to be on a subcommittee, this is the time to
Yes.
say I don't want to be on it.
correct.
And if I see something that I'm not on and I want to be on, I can say it now.
You can.
Okay, members know, so can we not go back and forth and say what we want to be on or what we don't want to be on? We have it in front of us. Let's do that and move forward. I'm okay with everything. If I'm chairing something, someone wants to chair it, I'm fine with dropping it or just being a regular member.
Thank you. Mr. Vega, please.
I just want to say, I just wanted to say that, yeah, I received the information from the vice chair. I had no problem with it. I'm kind of excited about some of the placements that are in there for this year. But for the folks at home, we've been using two acronyms, BEA and BEF, a lot. That's the Brockton Education Association, and the F is the foundation. I think maybe other committee members could speak better to what they are. But if I was at home right now, I'd have no idea. As somebody who's just tuning in, what the consternation is around representation on these two.
I mean, the BEA is the union for the teachers that serve for BPS, Brockton Public Schools. And Kim Gibson, the president of the BEA, is here too. So the BEA has been a true, and full disclosure, my dad was a member of the BEA when he was a teacher here. BEA has been a true advocate for their members, which are the teachers. There are other unions here as well that advocate for different employees. But when you talk about the BEA, it's the teachers union here in the city of Champions. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, I think Vice Chair, please.
I want to make a motion to appoint Anna Oliver to community schools.
We're not on that agenda yet?
Huh?
We're not on that agenda item yet.
My
No,
apologies.
but we will be.
Just trying to move things along.
I hear you.
So I make a motion to approve the subcommittee assignments for 2025 as stated, with the one change as Mr. Jorge Vega to chair the Safety, Traffic, and Transportation Subcommittee.
Yep, so it'd be as amended.
Oh, sorry, the negotiation of the Safety, Traffic, and Transportation. Oh, what is it? Oh, negotiations of transportation. I
Yep.
apologize.
We took a
Let
vote
me-
on that, so it would be as amended. Yep,
As amended.
I'm sorry.
No, it was Tony, but.
Motion made, properly seconded. Motion made by Ms. Azak, properly seconded by Vice Chair Rodriguez. On the motion, was there a question?
No, I'll say.
No question, okay. Yep, Mrs. Sullivan on the motion.
So transportation is from Tony to Claudio.
To Jorge.
No, to Jorge Vega. Jorge Vega. No. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. All in favor of that motion, kindly raise your hand. If you oppose that, raise your hand. It passes unanimous. Now the matter comes before us, and it's only one specific item. It's School Committee Advisory Board. we have to, as a committee, and as the chair, I have to accept nominations, but accept 2 members of this committee to serve for 2025 as representatives from the school committee on the community schools. Is there a motion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Motion to appoint Anna Oliver to community schools.
Second.
Motion was made, or nomination, but it was made by Vice Chair Rodriguez, properly seconded by Ms. Azak. Before we take the roll, I have to ask Ms. Oliver, do you want to serve in that capacity?
Yes.
Okay, so we will take that vote. All in favor of that, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Anna Oliver will be one of the 2 representatives to the school committee for 2025. I entertain a motion for the second and final member. Mr. Sullivan, please.
I'd like to nominate Jorge Vega.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Vice Chair Rodriguez. Mr. Vega's name in contention. Are you,
Yes.
you'd like to serve in that capacity? Okay. Mr. Vega, all in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. We pass unanimously. So again, Jorge Vega and Anna Oliver will serve for 2025. They are the 2 school committee members to serve as representative to the community schools. Thank you for your service on that as well. We now will go on to Agenda 8, which is the approval of the rules and orders of the school committee. Is there a motion relative to that? Ms. Azak?
Motion to approve the rules and orders of the school committee, Brockton Public Schools School Committee, probably,
Second.
For the year 2025.
for the year 2025.
Second.
Motion was made for the minutes by Ms. Azak, properly seconded by Mr. Claudio Gomes. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. If you oppose, raise your hand. Passes unanimous. So again, we have approved the rules and orders of the school committee for this year, 2025. We will now go on to report of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Tahiliani. Agenda 9.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I have a short update tonight because I know we have a lot to do. So I just wanted to start by congratulating the 4 students who I had the pleasure of presenting the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Award to before the break. The award goes to 4 extraordinary seniors at Brockton High School every year, and this year's honorees were Sam Lazat, Montserrat Diaz-Botello, Belen Mejia, and Jennifer Kong. It was wonderful to have an opportunity to speak with these amazing students about their accomplishments thus far and their dreams and aspirations for the future, which I know that they will achieve. I continue to be so impressed with our young Brockton scholars, and I am very grateful to be part of the Brockton community. And also 2 of those individuals actually received early acceptance to MIT, so they are extraordinary in many ways. So lots of congratulations. So speaking of which, congratulations to the BHS Drama Club on their successful presentation of Clue, the high school edition, right here in the Little Theater last month. The cast and crew did a fantastic job with their productions over 3 straight days, and we're even turning hopeful theater goers away at the door, so maybe next time we have to have it in the larger auditorium. But it was a wonderful production, and it got great reviews. And although I know it was also a while ago, I did want to congratulate and recognize all of the Brockton High students who were inducted into the National Honor Society in December. The students signed the National Honor Society Ledger and took an oath to continue living up to the National Honor Society 4 pillars of scholarship, leadership, service, and character. The ceremony was made even more special by the fact that the students used the opportunity to honor one of their educators who they felt have played an important role in their academic careers here in Brockton. Also, I'm excited to announce yet again that Brockton will be sending another 30 musicians to the Junior District Festival in 2025, and Brockton will be represented in all of the different ensembles. Band, jazz band, mixed chorus, treble chorus, and orchestra. So congratulations to all of the students who qualified after auditioning, as well as to all of the educators whose guidance and support made their success possible. Students across our district are continuing to benefit from our grant-funded partnership with Science and Engineering Education Development, or SEED. SEED scientists visited multiple classrooms across the district in December, stopping by East, West, and Baker to lead students in special hands-on science lessons. Middle school students had the chance to solve a mystery using blood typing and working with synthetic blood to identify a suspect. Meanwhile, students at the Baker got the chance to better understand the concept of heredity and explore how plants and mammals inherit traits from their parents. This partnership is made possible through the generous grant funding provided by the Mass Life Science Center. And then finally, I got to experience my first holiday season here in Brockton, and it was nothing short of spectacular. It was a lot of fun, so many different amazing things going on in the district. So I got to attend sing-alongs, holiday shops, concerts like the wonderful one here at the high school after our last meeting, and they were all just truly so impressive. And here are just a few additional snapshots going clockwise, starting from the top left. So the Brookfield held a door decorating contest that gave each classroom the opportunity to come up with their own holiday theme. And folks from around the city actually came and were invited to judge the doors based on their originality, how well the designs reflected students' cultures, and how well they incorporated recycled materials, along with many other criteria. The Davis celebrated the holiday season with a staff luncheon to recognize the great work that the entire team there has done so far this year. 5 of our middle schools, Ashfield East, North, and West, came together for the annual Discovering Justice mock trial at Brockton District Court. Students argued a fictional case before real judges and a jury of volunteer adults, calling witnesses, presenting evidence, and delivering opening and closing remarks before a verdict was rendered. So thank you again to Discovering Justice, to the attorney mentors who worked with our students, and the educators who again helped support this project. As you can see in the bottom right, Champion High celebrated the holiday season with Waffle Day that staff served students, and there were a whole bunch of sweets that students could use to customize their waffles. And finally, I wanted to share a heartfelt thank you to Muscle Movement for their generous donation of toys for our students in need this holiday season, as well as to Fun Factory in Bridgewater for their generous donation of gift cards and bicycles to students. That kind of generosity goes a long way toward making the holiday special for all of our students, and we are so very appreciative. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your 2024, and I'm excited for 2025. And now we'll move to item B, which is our career and technical education report. So in your packets, you have the recommendations before you. So every year, my understanding is that, this is obviously my first time, but every year, my understanding is that this committee will recommend those who are going to serve on the various advisory committees for our CTE program. So you, in your packet, have applications for Culinary Arts Advisory Committee, applications for the Health Assisting Advisory Committee, the Carpentry Advisory Committee, the Automotive Technology Advisory Committee, and the Graphics Advisory Committee.
Do we need a vote on, I just don't recall that. Do we do this every year? We don't vote on it, do we? Do we, Melinda? I just don't remember that. Okay. Thank you, Superintendent. Will of the committee at this time?
There's a list on the.
Oh, so that's a great question. It's actually for all of those that have been recommended.
Yeah.
So for some, there's 1, and for some, there's 2.
So again, the motion would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Spottiford, but for the committee to accept the advisory committee membership as recommended tonight, something like that? Yep. So will the committee, please, Mr. Vega?
This is my first time doing this, this part of the process. I'll just say that I think maybe some of the hesitation is that, it's difficult to glean exactly who's the right person to be in this, or, if there's to be a question, I would just lean heavily on the feeling of members of the school district and moving forward in that. But I would suggest that, if we're expected to vote or take any action on it in the future, that, maybe we think about reorganizing things so a better snapshot of each of the candidates or applicants is available to the school committee. But yeah, right now what we've got is a little thin, but I'm very comfortable following the lead of the school district.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Vice Chairman, please.
On some of the applications, they were very kind of blurry, I guess, the way it was sent, but every member did get an email from Melinda with a clearer picture of those snapshots of those individuals as well, so. But, yeah, I do agree with Mr. Vega of a little clearer picture on this process and who vets these applications out, and if those members that put in those applications can actually come before this body and kind of give an explanation of why they want to be on this advisory board and how did they come to the point of actually getting selected.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Mr. Sullivan, you had a comment?
I wanted to make a motion.
Oh, okay.
The motion is to approve the advisory boards, the CTEs, as presented.
Okay, form of a motion. Is there a second,
Second.
please? Second, who said the second? I'm sorry. Ms. Oliver. Record will reflect Mr. Sullivan made the motion, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. If you oppose, raise your hand. Passes unanimous. Items to refer to subcommittee. We wouldn't have any at this time since it's the first organizational meeting. So that does conclude the report of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Tahiliani. Thank you, Doctor. Consent agenda is 10, and we have A, 1, 2, 3. So I am going to, as chair, I'm just going to take them separately. A, and I know some of these, I believe, had been asked by then Vice Chair, now current Vice Chair, to postpone until the next meeting, which is tonight. Is that correct, Tony? Weren't some of these? Yep. So we have the matter of A before us, the Climate and Family Foundation instrument fund in the amount of $30,000 even, Massachusetts Technology Collaborative grant in the amount of $25,000 even, and then the Mass Farming Reinforces Education and Student Health MA Fresh grant in the amount of $20,000, and then this is a request for authorization to accept proposals and expenditures of funds. Any questions on that? Mr. Vice Chair?
No, I believe Mr. Burke and, I can't see.
I think they're in the back.
Yeah, usually with these grants, when they come before the committee, I made the recommendation of these individuals can come before the committee just to give an explanation of what these grants are and how these funds are going to be utilized. So I don't know who wants to go first that are actually here, or if anybody has any other questions. I mean, I did my deep
There's someone
research.
from all three here.
Okay, yeah,
so
that'd
if
be
we
great
want-
if
I don't
they
know if
could
we
each
want to
come
go
in.
in order, but we could start with the Klarman Family Foundation Instrument Fund. Rebecca Desmond, our Director of Music, K-12, is here. And there is a list of the instruments that are going to be bought in your packets.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. How's everyone? So with the Klarman Family Foundation grant, we are looking to purchase new marching percussion for our Brockton High School Marching Band. The instruments that we currently have are about 20 years old, and the new ones will provide our students lighter instruments that are about 10 pounds lighter each. They'll have new cases without broken straps that we're attempting to throw onto trucks every Friday. And they'll also have stands that they can use when they're practicing indoors. Currently, they have to carry their drums every single time they're practicing, and this will give them the opportunity to place them on stands and not carry them all the time. We also, in that grant, requested two new to us tubas. Our tubas that we use at the high school are, we believe, about 60 years old. So it's time to start looking into upgrading those. And then the last one is for a tenor saxophone. Our tenor saxophone at South Middle School was deemed totaled and not worth repairing. So we're trying to replace those scholarship instruments that we give to students to help offset some of the costs to families. So those are the instruments that we rolled into this grant.
Thank you. Any questions from the membership? Mr. Vice Chair?
With all the instruments district-wide, have you, I'm assuming you have an inventory. Do you have like a running list of what actually needs to be upgraded overall throughout the district? And do you actually have a cost for that as well? Because when you tell me there's instruments that are 20, 30 years old, that's kind of disheartening.
Those are the newer ones. We're working on it. It's a daunting task, especially with all of the schools that we have, just locating all of the instruments that are in there. In terms of, the middle schools, I am starting to work with the middle schools to bring in a company that can assess some of our older instruments and trade in and trade up for instruments that are newer to us that will have a little bit more life to them. But in terms of what needs to be replaced, it's an ongoing process. A lot of times we send out an instrument for repair, and the repair company comes back to us and tells us it's not worth repairing because of the age and just the normal wear and tear. So we're working on it. And then as we go, just trying to replace the things that we are in most need of. And for right now, we've been looking into replacing the marching percussion for quite some time because our students shouldn't be leaving rehearsals with bruises on their legs from their instruments that don't fit properly and that are too heavy for them because modern technology is fantastic and our students deserve the best. So,
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, that was one of the reasons I moved forward, and thank you to the committee at the time when we created. Mr. Gomes, you are the chair of that subcommittee, so you need to plan that one out so she can bring it back and to address that, music, arts, and athletics, to see, where our needs are and bring the department heads in to see how we can support you guys better to make sure, because it's, 20, 30 years and you're saying that's the newest one. It's kind of crazy. So, but, thank you for, the work that you're doing and making sure that we can get some new equipment there. So I think when it comes budget season, we need to put some more funds into that area.
that'd be great.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Chair. Ms. Oliver, please.
As a band mom, I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and I know how heavy those instruments are. I know I had to buy the saxophone myself, and it's a very expensive instrument. I appreciate all the work, and I do hope that we get a list of what we need in different schools, especially South and here at Brockton High, because our kids do deserve, and it's a great band program. Anybody's out there that wants to donate more to, the band program at middle schools and also Brockton High, please send it, towards us, to the school, because I think it's a great program that we have, and I appreciate all the work that you're doing. It's an incredible job, especially for our students and all our educators, the music department. Thank you so much. And I will motion to approve,
7A.
what is it, 7A? Is it the Massachusetts Technology? Is that the one?
Klarman.
The Coleman Family Foundation Instrumental Fund.
Form of a motion by Ms. Oliver. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gomes. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. Opposed, raise your hand. Passes unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Go on to the next matter, please. Massachusetts Technology Collaborative Grant in the amount of $25,000.
Thank you. And so we have with us tonight Dan Vigent, our Senior Director of IT.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Dan Vigent, Senior Director of IT. I'm accompanied by Chris Aleskis, the Assistant Director of Tech Services. This is a $25,000 grant for cybersecurity. It is one piece of a very large, elaborate cybersecurity defense suite that we own that involves many products and services. I'd like to thank Cam Jackson, the grant administrator, Rick Chang, our network manager, and Chris Aleskis, who all worked on the grant application. If you have any questions, I brought Chris, just in case you have any specific questions about this particular grant.
Thank you. Mr. Vega, please.
Thank you for being here tonight. Can you give some examples of like what kinds of issues might a grant like this address?
Big threat we see as a school district, public libraries are also seeing this. There's an increase of attacks we're seeing as soft targets in the world of bad faith actors, if you want to call them that, cyber criminals. As Dan mentioned, we have a very robust network security, but this will add to some of the gaps that we do have. There's always going to be gaps. We're always looking to fill those gaps. This will definitely help with a safer learning environment for our students and our staff. There's a lot of phishing campaigns going out there, and we'll be able to add on to the current suite of appliances that we already do use.
Thank you. I appreciate that and the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time? I'll entertain a motion then.
I'd like to place motion to approve the receipt of the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative Grant
Second.
Second.
In the amount of 25,000, right?
in the amount of $25,000.
Motion was made by Mr. Vega, properly second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, raise your hand, please. If you're opposed, raise your hand. It passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last grant, Mass Farming reinforces education and student health, MA Fresh Grant, in the amount of 20,000 even. Good evening, Tom.
So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, I just kind of want to explain why, you're probably wondering, why are you doing mushroom grant? So, about a year ago, we have a program called Farm to Table, Seed to Table. And we like to go into classrooms and go in and grow things from start with the seed and grow. And one of the things we had problems with, we didn't have enough time and things weren't growing quick enough. So we looked in, and mushrooms were the ones that grow quick and easy, and it works well into the classrooms. So last year, we spent about $500, and we bought some mushroom kits from Target. And we went into 2 classrooms, and we started with the students, and we did a seed to table program. And part of that was students we left them in the classroom, and students got to actually see how everything grew. And they had to take care of it, and they had to water it and do whatever they to make the mushrooms grow. And then we did a taste testing with them. And back in April, we did a pearl oyster mushroom, and with it was fried oysters, slided with broccoli and slaw. And the kids absolutely, the students absolutely loved it. And I was actually the chef, and our dietitian Lisa they were in the kitchen making it, and I said, let me try some of that, and it was phenomenal. It was, and then we decided we're going to do a pink oyster mushroom. If anyone's ever seen a pink oyster, it's like a flower. And we again, the kids grew it. Now it's a vegan, and we did a BLT. Same thing. It was the kids absolutely, and we said, you know what? We need to get more into the classrooms and grow things. So this grant came up, and it was a perfect opportunity. So the intention of the grant really is going to get into classrooms, do a seed to table, just kind of tasting, teaching them, learning. Our dietitian will be handling the whole thing, and just educating on fresh produce, growing things, and just kind of letting them see what happens when something is planted and grow. And last week we met with Principal McCaskill, and this week we met with Principal McCaskill, and we're going to try to utilize the container farm up here at the high school. So we'll set it up as a classroom, and we'll able to have some students in and out, or bring everything into it. So that's kind of where we are with the program, and that's why we chose mushrooms, because it's easy to grow and they grow quick, and students get to see, because we've tried it a few years of growing other things, and it because of the lack of time, we end up not being able to finish. And then at the end of the program, last year, the students were able to take home the mushrooms to their family. And like some of them were amazing how they grew, and they looked like flowers. And they were, and so the kids got to bring them home and could cook them at home, and we gave them recipes and things to use at home. So that's the intention of doing the same thing this year through this grant. And
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and the kids, it was really nice to see them. And I do want to thank Cam and Lisa, because they were the ones that wrote the grant and put everything together. And so
Thank you, Tom.
That's it.
Any questions? Ms. Azak, followed by Ms. Oliver.
Not really a question, just a statement. So, again, this is the importance of our grant writers. This is amazing. We have 3 grants just tonight, but we always have grants. And, thank you, Mr. Burke, you and your team. So a few of us met some of your colleagues at the MASS conference, and I know they're introducing new menus, or I met someone, and they're getting creative to capture the students, get their different palettes and different things. So I know the superintendent had mentioned, I think there's like a weekly menu or something that comes out now. But I just wanted to say, it's nice to see, like, again, pink mushrooms. I'm going to have to look for pink mushrooms and try them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
and
awesome.
They're simple to grow, and they're actually simple. The recipes were simple to follow, too. So it was-
Definitely,
it was
definitely. But I just wanted to just advocate for how important our grant writers are and all these grants, because it is free money, but it gives our students and our staff opportunities to introduce different areas to our students that we normally wouldn't have that opportunity due to, shortage of funds. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Ms. Oliver, followed by Mr. Vega, please. Followed by Mr. Vice Chair. No, you didn't have one? Mr. Vega, followed by Vice Chair, please.
I just like to advocate for myself for a second. I enjoy mushrooms quite a bit. No one else in my family does. So I sneak them into stews and soups, and they think it's like maybe a little piece of meat that's in there. But I'd like to advocate for future mushroom endeavors to include the chicken of the woods. It's a type of mushroom that I have not been able to taste, but I've been told is quite lovely.
Yeah, it's funny that there is one that she's, and I, if I can find it here quickly, there's a mushroom that I was surprised how many different mushrooms. So I will bring that to Lisa to.
Chicken of the woods.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? It's right. She wrote up a little thing for me, and it says, we plan on growing a variety of mushrooms such as oyster, pink oyster, shiitake, and hen of the woods. So we will have to invite you when the hen of the woods. Yep. When I was reading this, I was like, I've never heard of hen of the woods mushrooms. Yeah. We'll have to get some in
Mr. Vice Chairman, please.
I'm right with Mr. Vega. I'm a mushroom guy too. Stuffed mushrooms, if you're getting that on the menu, invite me over. This is phenomenal. A lot of people, they're not in tune to mushrooms. There's a variety of mushrooms out there, and I love this, seeing the students actually hands-on and cooking. So I think with the mayor and the superintendent, when we meet with the high school renovation project, I think we should look at doing a rooftop greenhouse here at the high school so we can utilize the space. I mean, we are going to be spending a lot of money on that, but thank you for the presentation on this, and looking forward to seeing some of these mushrooms in the classrooms.
Now I know. Once we get them, maybe we'll have to have samples, taste testing up here.
Will of the committee, is there a motion?
Motion to accept and approve the expenditure of $20,000 for the MA Farming Reinforces Education Student Health.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Ms. Azak. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. If you oppose, raise your hand. It passes unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll go on to B, acceptance of human resource notification, appointments of certified personnel, appointments of non-certified, and then personal actions, which is leaves of absence, resignations, and retirements. Is there a motion at this time? Motion was made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. If you oppose, raise your hand. Those two pass unanimously. We will now go on to Agenda 11, which is unfinished business. I don't believe, since it's the first meeting, we have unfinished business. We'll go on to 12, new business. Again, I don't think quite yet we have new business. We do have Officer Mosley here. Update from the police liaison, which is Agenda 13, school safety and security. Officer, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Give me one second. All right, so some updates on safety security, some talking points. Excuse me. This time of year, we start doing our training for our in-service and our SRO training, our yearly SRO training for everyone. All officers will be completing most of the in-service training and the SRO training by the end of the year. We are conducting a active shooter training next Saturday, I think Saturday morning on the 18th. If folks aren't doing anything, stop by. It's pretty cool. What else is there? February, went through that. Let's see here. On the 21st, the CBJJ will be having their first meeting of the year. Last couple of weeks, some of the officers have been monitoring the cameras at the high school, the stairwells and the little areas where our students like to hang out and, vape or just hang out most of the time, notifying the school administration. We've been bookmarking them, emailing them, sending it to the school administration and the safety security teams to follow up on that, to be a little more proactive with the camera system and get these kids from hanging out in certain areas of the school and get them into the classrooms or where they're supposed to be. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Officer. Any
Questions,
questions for
comments,
Officer
anything?
Mosley? Ms. Azak, please.
Just clarification, that invite was for the school committee, not the public, correct? For the active
Yeah,
shooter
oh,
training?
yeah, let me
Okay.
correct that.
I just don't want
Sorry,
everybody to show
sorry.
up next week.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Just to clarify, because it is not an open event for everybody.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yes. If the school committee, you folks, would like to stop by and see some of the training that we do, you're more than welcome.
If you could send that, if you can send us the information or give it to Mrs. Campbell and she can forward it, the time to the
Oh,
committee,
yeah.
rather than say it on camera.
Sorry?
Rather than say it on camera and have everybody show up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Azak.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions for Officer Mosley? Seeing none, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We'll go on to Agenda 14, announcements. I actually just have two announcements. Wanted to, first of all, and I shared this with Principal McCaskill this morning. I shared it with the Vice Chair and also Dr. Teheliani, a resident who actually is here, Kelly Hanlon, sent me a text this morning, and it made all of us extremely proud, and I want to read it to you. It was on social media, and it says as following. Okay, all Brocktonians, I need your help. I need to get word to the boys' basketball coach and the principal of Brockton High School. I had the boys' basketball team come into TGA Fridays in Stoughton. There were 11 or 12 of them. The captain called ahead and made reservations. Every single player had manners and were very polite. When the food came, no one ate before all the food was served, and the captain told them no phones while eating, and they said a dinner prayer before they began. I wish you boys all the luck tomorrow against Durfee. Please come in again. It was a pleasure serving you. Those are our Brocktonian kids right there. Very, very proud to get that. We don't usually get the good text, so thank you for sending that to me. Also, just want to let you know, as a committee, we have the regular meetings with the state. Dr. Teheliani, the vice chair, myself, council president, they will elect a new president, city council Monday night, so whoever that individual is, Troy Claxon, Trish Boyer, we will have Megan Bridges, and Irene will be on. I think that's everybody, with A&F. So Secretary Gorkowitz, DOR will be Sean Cronin. Not sure if the Lieutenant Governor will join us, but they want to do they typically quarterly meetings, and they want to see where we are. Free cash was certified by DOR right before Christmas at $21 million, so that's good news. Tax bills went out, which is even better because we would have been penalized. So just want to let you know, we will be having a meeting with A&F. We are not going into Boston to the State House. It's going to be a Zoom, but we will be having regular meetings again going into 2025. We got the Community Compact Grant. As you recall, Lieutenant Governor had suggested that we have what she called at that time, a big brother, big sister type of agreement with the state, which we advocated for and we supported. We just were awarded the highest amount of the Community Compact Grant ever in the Commonwealth, $150,000. It was suggested by DOR that the city put some, quote, skin in the game as well. So myself and Mr. Clark, Dr. Clarkson went before the city council last night, and we requested $100,000. So the 150 plus the 100, and it was a unanimous vote. So we have $250,000. So we will keep you apprised on what that is. It's going to be broken up in different segments of areas. One example is looking at collective bargaining practices. One is financial fiduciary obligations. So it's different things. So I just want to let you know we have another meeting the 16th at 1:30, and we'll report back after that. Any other announcements at this time? Ms. Oliver, please.
Yes, I would like to notify that the seniors are going to have the Oscar night this Friday, January 10th at 6 p.m. in the Brockton High Auditorium. The dress code is formal attire, dressed to impress. All proceed will go towards funding the class of 2025's senior prom. Please come and support our seniors and fund their senior proms. It's going to be a great night. We attended last year, and it was a ball. And they were really dressed to impress, so it was fun. Can't wait to be there Friday.
Any other announcement? Ms. Azak, please.
I was just, actually, Mrs. Oliver beat me to it.
Okay.
So it's an awesome night supporting our seniors and helping them defer the cost for the prom. Just wanted to reach out, like, I know a lot of times during the holidays, different schools will reach out to the school committee, but I would just ask that our schools and different organizations just reach out to us on a regular basis. If we can attend your events, we would love to. It's a good way because when we can see these events in person, it helps us advocate for you when the time comes. So, you know, throughout the year, not just near the holidays. So I know towards the end of the year, we get a lot of invites. Near the holidays, we get a lot of invites. But I know I'm going to try my best. You know, PTOs, PTAs, different fun events. I happen to be a judge at the Brookfield, and that was so much fun. So just reach out to our schools. I mean, I enjoy when I get the invites to the schools and band and drama and music and athletics, but just reach out to the committee members because I know a lot of us do enjoy, like we'll be at the Oscar night. We presented last year and it was, I'm dusting off my prom gown. We're gonna get dressed up for Friday night. So it's gonna be a fun event. So just reach out to us. We love doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any other announcements at this time? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Agenda 15, which is executive session. I do need to read into the record the following. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions and preparations for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, superintendent contract. I need a motion to go into executive session, please.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion was made by Ms. Azak, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. I now need to call the roll. I will call the roll to go into executive session. Mrs. Sullivan? Yes. Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver? Yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well as Chair. I will declare at this time, we will be coming back into open session, which is Agenda 16. If that changes in executive session, I will come back out to notify BCA. But as of right now, we are coming back in open session. And Mrs. Campbell, which? Okay, same room as we always go. Thank you. We are back into open session. We will continue the agenda. Agenda 16 is potential return to open session to vote on item from executive session. We have concluded executive session. We are now back in formal session. Will of the committee, please?
I'd
Mr.
like
Gomes?
to make a motion to amend the interim superintendent contract to reflect permanent status
Second.
as negotiated.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes for the minutes, properly seconded by Vice Chair Rodriguez. We're going to call the roll. Mrs. Sullivan?
What was the motion?
Motion was, just restate it again, please.
So motion to amend the interim superintendent contract to reflect the permanent status as negotiated.
So from interim to permanent?
Yes.
We already did that.
Her
She's already
contract.
a permanent.
Attorney Spotterfoot, if you could just maybe give a little clarification.
So we negotiated a changes to the compensation and the title for Dr. Tahiliani reflecting the permanent status.
Thank you. Mrs. Sullivan?
Could I just make a comment?
On the motion, sure, on the motion.
Okay, any kind of change to a superintendent's contract, there would have to be an evaluation by the school committee first, before there's any increases given. And I wanted Dr. Tahiliani to know that, and I'm sure she knows because she's been in other districts. There's an evaluation by the school committee. And also, I don't think we've had enough time to really know, you know? And our financial problems in the past need to come into consideration before any kind of increases are given. And we need more time, we need to evaluate first. So my vote is no.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Mr. Gomes, please.
Yes.
Mr. Vega, please.
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
No.
And I'm a no as well, and I just want to clarify it. As you know, a couple weeks ago, I voted against school police, and it was not against the school police. I think that they're very brave individuals, and this is not against Dr. Tahiliani. But as mayor, I have a fiduciary duty right now. We are not out of the woods yet financially. So I know we have an existing contract, and Priya is honoring that contract, and that's why I'm voting no tonight. I think we have a little more time to see where we are. We're 6 months into the fiscal budget, but we will now go on to the next matter. That amendment does approve a 5-3 vote, so that has been ratified. Mr. Gomes, is there another motion?
Yes. Motion to approve the superintendent's contract as negotiated for the term of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2027.
It's the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Just for the minutes to reflect, the motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Comment on the motion?
I believe to 2027, also extended an extra year pending a proficient evaluation to 2028.
Attorney Spotterford, is that, just so we have the right verbiage?
That's a fair amendment.
So could you?
Yeah. Motion to approve superintendent's contract as negotiated.
So 1 second. Could you remove your motion, because there was a second? Could you remove that motion?
Yes, remove my motion.
Could you remove that second?
Remove the second.
They've been removed. Go ahead now, please.
Motion to approve superintendent's contract as negotiated for the term of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2027, with the option to extend another year with a proficient evaluation.
It's the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Minutes will reflect, motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. I'll call the roll right now. Mrs. Sullivan?
No.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
No.
And I'm a no as well, and I just want the records to reflect again. I had to actually deny another department head just recently that wanted an extension of a contract. I just can't do it right now. When the state gives me breathing room and says we're clear and we feel good financially, you know, I'll definitely revisit it. But at this time, I'm a no, but that still passes a 5-3 vote. So Dr. T, congratulations. Attorney Spotterford, I don't believe many members have been here when we had a superintendent's contract to be executed. Could you just explain to us the process, who signs first and how that works?
Sure. So typically with any employment contract, we ask the employee to sign first. So I'll work with Dr. Tahiliani's attorney to get that done. And then the full committee has typically signed that contract. So once we have that executed, I'll bring it for the next meeting and we will execute that contract.
Weeks' time.
The amendment has a retroactive date of September 18th because that was the date the committee voted to appoint Dr. Tahiliani as the permanent superintendent.
Minutes reflect that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions at this time? We're definitely going to let Dr. T
You
speak.
have the
but-
floor first.
I just want to thank the full body. I truly appreciate you taking the time to consider this proposal and to approve the contract. And I do just want to say that, yes, I have been here a short time. I do hope that I've somewhat proved myself, but at least proved my commitment to Brockton. And, you know, there's a lot of work to do, and I look forward to staying committed to doing it and being a stabilizing force in the district. And I do hope, and I feel confident that I will be able to prove myself in the coming evaluation cycle, and that I will then, I just want to make sure that you all, that you feel full confidence in me. And so I just want to let the committee know to please individual members, if there's anything I can ever do to demonstrate my commitment to Brockton, my commitment to you as a committee, my commitment to the students and staff, to please just never hesitate to let me know where I'm falling short or where I could do better, because I want to do the best I can for the city.
Thank you, Dr. T. Vice Chairman?
Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. T. Like I said, Team Priya, even though in your short tenure here, you've already proven to me your dedication to this community, and what your work ethic is and where your heart is driven, to seeing the struggles in Brockton Public Schools and being that voice to move us forward and get us out of where we are and moving the district forward. And I know BPS is very happy today that you're going to be here for some time with us and moving forward. So a lot of people have voiced their appreciation for having you here and being more comfortable from where they were, and they're going to be more comfortable. And then I'm confident that you will be gaining more trust and confidence in this body moving forward. So congratulations, and looking forward to meeting with you a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Ms. Oliver, please.
Congratulations, Dr. T. Since the first day I met you and we had a conversation, I knew what you can bring to Brockton. Just by the way you spoke, what you presented to us, and your plans for the future for our school districts meant so much to what we were going through at that moment. And the reason why I voted for this is because I know you have the potential and the ability to move us forward, especially with everything we've been through. And I can feel it. I can feel a different fresh air, a different heartbeat when we go to the schools. And when I speak to educators and parents, and I got phone calls to support you, I felt it, that they appreciate that we brought somebody that is taking accountability, that is being transparent, and brings so much sunshine to our students. And I see pictures, and when you interact with the educators and the students, how much joy you bring, and how much just a different perspective than we have had for so many years. And I appreciate that. And I cannot wait to see the future, what it brings to the school district, especially Brockton, that's been through so much stuff. And our students deserve the best, and you're one of the best here right now. And with all your team, I appreciate them, and our educators, continue doing what you're doing every day for our students, because our student does matter. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any other members of the committee at this time? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo what my colleagues have said. So congratulations. Looking forward to working with you. And this gives you an opportunity now to move forward and plan ahead. Because now that you know where we've negotiated. But and like some of my colleagues had mentioned, I've noticed morale. Morale is up. We've gone through a lot in 24. And just seeing morale and what a difference. So, and I love it. And you can see it in your presentations. You can see it in the way that you keep us updated. So just thank you again. And like I said, I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any other comments at this time? The last agenda item is Agenda 17, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Sullivan for the minutes. Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Ms. Azak. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Drive careful. Good night.